I grew up on a stretch of land my grandfather carved out of red clay and stubborn oak roots. The kind of place where the sunrise hit the gravel just right and made the world feel honest. After he passed, the land came to me 23 acres, bordered by an old county road and a subdivision that hadn't even existed when he was alive. Back then, the gravel road that wound through our property wasn't just ours. It was part of a recorded county easement built during World War II when my grandfather lent his land to the Army Corps to transport supplies. The road was history, literally government street, but the HOA that sprouted up next door didn't care about history. They only saw control. It started small. One spring morning, I found a notice taped to my mailbox. Unauthorized gravel surface violation. They claimed my private section of road didn't match the community aesthetic. I laughed at first, thinking it was a mistake. My house wasn't in their subdivision. My driveway wasn't in their plat. But that laugh turned bitter when the next notice came with a fine. $800, increasing weekly. I went to their office, a beige building with fake columns, and a receptionist who acted like she was guarding the Pentagon. The HOA president, a man named Trent with gelled hair and mirrored sunglasses, told me flat out, all connecting properties must comply. It's in the new covenant. I told him there was no new covenant on my deed, but he smirked and said, "We filed an amendment majority vote." When I reminded him that my land wasn't even part of their vote, he waved his hand. "You're landlocked by us. That makes you subject." That word, subject, hit me like a challenge, so I went digging. I spent days in the county clerk's office, flipping through dusty ledgers, microfilm reels, and digital archives that still looked like they were coded in 1998. And there it was. A federal easement, signed and sealed in 1943, guaranteeing that the gravel road remained a public access corridor maintained under county jurisdiction, meaning no HOA on earth could override it. Primera, madre copias, notarized them, even laminated one for good measure. I sent Trent a certified letter with all the documents attached, and a polite note. Your covenant does not and cannot supersede federal easement law. 2 days later, I came home to find a metal gate bolted across the entrance to my road. They'd literally blocked me out of my own property. I had to park down by the creek and walk half a mile just to reach my house. When I called the sheriff, he sighed like he'd seen this before. "I'll send a deputy," he said. But when the deputy arrived, he shrugged. "They say it's private property now. Civil matter." That night, I sat on my porch with my grandfather's old field map spread across the table. His handwriting, faded but steady, marked every boundary, every culvert, every line of the road. I realized the HOA didn't just want compliance. They wanted the road itself. That gravel strip was their shortcut to controlling the whole hill. Without it, their subdivision's backlots were stranded. They were trying to absorb my land by attrition. So I called my friend Eli, who worked in the county surveyor's office. We met the next morning under the power lines. He brought a drone, GPS gear, and a copy of the official county GI's overlay, proving beyond question that the road, every inch of it, was county-maintained right-of-way. He grinned and said, "They messed with the wrong easement." I sent one last letter to the HOA board, attaching the GIS maps and a formal notice of federal protection. Then I went quiet. For 2 weeks, nothing. Then, one Friday morning, I woke up to bulldozers. They were tearing up the gravel, dumping soil, planting decorative shrubs right across the old roadbed. I filmed everything, every bucket of dirt, every truck logo, every smug contractor who said, "We're just following orders." I called the sheriff again, this time armed with the documents. When the deputies arrived, I showed them the federal easement record, the county survey, and the video. The sergeant took one look and said, "Oh hell, this is a criminal obstruction." They ordered the crew to stop immediately. The HOA president came storming down the hill, red-faced and yelling, "You can't do this. This is our property." The sergeant cut him off. "Sir, this road has a federal designation. You're in violation of Title 18, Section 1361, Destruction of Government Property." The look on Trent's face was priceless. The county sent a crew the next week to restore the road, new gravel, fresh grading, drainage redone. The HOA had to pay for all of it. But they didn't stop there. They started sending drones over my land, photographing my barn, my truck, even my dog. They filed nuisance reports about my fence height, my porch lights, my mailbox color. I documented everything and filed a harassment claim with the state attorney's office. That's when I learned something that blew the whole thing open. The HOA's amendment wasn't even properly filed. They deforged a boundary extension using an expired survey and a fake signature from a notary who died years ago. That's fraud. Plain and simple. I gathered every scrap of evidence. The fake filings, the video, the sheriff's report, the harassment letters, and I brought them to a county commissioners meeting. It was a full house. When I spoke, I didn't raise my voice. I told them about my grandfather, about the road he built for the Army Corps, about how that gravel line carried military convoys long before there were cul-de-sacs or bylaws. I showed the historic photos of soldiers driving over that same road in 1944. The room went silent. The commissioner looked at the HOA board sitting in the back and said, "You all just trespassed on federal ground. Waiting a week." The state attorney's office launched a formal investigation. Trent and 2 board members were indicted for filing false land records and interfering with a federal easement. They tried to settle privately, offered to absorb the cost of the road if I'd just sign a release. Primera told them, rather drive my truck over gravel than gold, if it meant keeping my grandfather as promised. In the end, the HOA dissolved under legal pressure. The subdivision reorganized without them. And that gate, the county ordered it dismantled and gave me the old ironwork as a historical artifact. It hangs now on my barn wall, rusted but proud. Every time I drive down that road, I think about how close they came to erasing a piece of history, not just mine, but everyone's who fought to keep that land free. Sometimes folks from the neighborhood still stop by, curious about the story. I tell them it wasn't about money, or gravel, or pride. It was about remembering that not all ownership comes from paper. Some comes from blood, sweat, and legacy. The HOA thought they could pave over that with bylaws and arrogance, but they forgot something simple. You can't fence off history.